I hope you had a wonderful week and a calm and relaxing day. I actually need to take a trip to the grocery store, and you guys are coming with me. So let's go. Wait, I thought you was coming. Okay, fine. Just meet me in the car. We'll figure it out. I've got everything cut up the way I wanted it. And now I'm going to mix everything together so I can do a taste test. So here I am about to taste my mix. I'm opening up the blue chips, taking a dip into the hummus, and then I'm going to taste the hummus and the chip by itself. And I thought that was pretty good. Thumbs up there. So I'm going to dip it in the hummus again and then get some of my mix as well. So I hope you enjoyed that short tutorial of what I do, like just as a snack, a healthy snack that is, because I tell you, between the chips, the Cheetos, cookies, it gets hard for a girl sometimes. So that's really like a inflammation free type snack for you. I get the hummus itself from Trader Joe's, the Waverly brand. It's actually pretty good. It's the chickpea hummus. I think it's like $5 or $6. It's not that bad, but it's a huge tub of hummus. And just cutting those peppers, the onions, all up together. Sometimes if I'm a little saucy, I put a little garlic in there. But nevertheless, I'm like, hey, it's healthy. Long as it's healthy, I can get down with it. I can definitely get down with it. And, you know, I don't feel so bloated or anything, you know, after eating that. So I wanted to talk to you today about something that happened just a while ago. And it still is present because, you know, we're all empaths here. Well, from what I think, from an empath's perspective. When I was younger, my very, very first boyfriend, and we'll call him Bruiser. We will call him Bruiser. You'll understand why just a little later. So I'm here, you know, in high school. Here I am, about to graduate, 18 years old, got this boyfriend, very first boyfriend, because I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend, first of all. I was one of those girls, you can't have a boyfriend until you turn 18. And yeah, that type of female that was definitely sheltered. So anyway, got with him and everything was cool. Graduated high school, and as we were moving around, figuring out who we were and being young, we kind of like, we were doing our own things, especially like when parents were involved. We'll say this right here. He had a temper. Let's just say that. And I actually didn't know he had such a temper. He had a temper to where he liked to put hands on people type of temper. And I didn't realize that until later. And being, you know, younger and just in high school or whatever, just getting out of high school, I don't know anything about people abuse. I don't know anything about that. So I'm just going with the flow. I'm like, okay, well, you know, I saw him get upset sometimes, but it was nothing to the point where it scared me. It never scared me. And so I know his mom was down in the Carolinas. Sometimes they're very, very particular about their boys. They are very particular about their boys. They love their boys. They spoil their boys. And it just is what it is. Maybe every household isn't like that, which hopefully you never ran into one of those men. And if you did, hopefully it worked out. But the men that I know, the friends that I have had, men from this particular area, they tend to be very, very, about themselves all the time. It is what it is. So yeah, I do believe he was spoiled to a certain extent or whatever. So here I am. I was living in Charlotte at the time, and he was actually living in South Carolina. So I used to come from Charlotte down to visit. So one particular time, he, for some reason, I don't know what had happened. I don't know what happened, but I pulled up and he was arguing with his mom. And he was calling her out her name. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I've never saw this before. Not from him. And she was like, get him out of here, da 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 da, you're no longer welcome here, da 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 da. And I was like, oh wow. So he got in the car and we just drove off or whatever. But that particular situation just let me know, like, okay, so here it is. And I'm pretty sure she was like probably like in her 30s or 40s, late 30s, early 40s or whatever. So here she is basically telling him he's no longer welcome here. She knew that we were close. She knew we were close. And so the thing about it is, I was in the process of getting my own apartment because things weren't so great at home. I was in the process of getting my own apartment, and she knew that I was getting my own apartment, and she wanted him gone because she could no longer have control over him. Okay, fine. And it's like, just because you don't have control over your child doesn't mean you should push him onto another person, another child, because technically, even though you're 18, 17, 18, 19, you're still a child. You don't have that many life experiences to be able to put two and two together and say, hey, this is not the situation for me. And unfortunately, I didn't have that type of mentorship in my life to where to say, hey, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And again, that is what it is. But nevertheless, we drove off or whatever. Now, my thing is this. Like I said, she's in her late 40s, late 30s, early 40s. And she's like wanting me pretty much to give him shelter because he didn't have anywhere else to go. He didn't have anywhere else to go. She knew we were close and we had been together for maybe for like 2 years or so. Or like around 2 years, because this is like after high school or whatever. And I met him when I was like 17, 18. But nevertheless, we were together for like at least like a year or whatever. She knew we were close. You know how it is when you're young, you're on the phone with each other, you talk to each other too, even though the phone y'all both asleep. You got that receiver to your ear. You go to sleep on the phone with this person. You wake up. Hey, you there on the phone with this person? Y'all know, if you know that you know. It was just like that. So those were the times that we were living in where you had the phone and you went to sleep on the phone. You woke up on the phone. And it's like, it was almost like puppy love. So, but my thing is, it's like, why she do that to me? Why she put me in a predicament to where it's like, you can go live with her. That's what it was saying. That was the feeling situation, because she knew he didn't have anywhere else to go. So it's like, oh, well, he didn't have, the cousins or whatever. And she knew I was getting my own apartment. She was like, you're no longer welcome here. You can go stay with her. Okay, ma'am, why are you putting your kids off on other people? That was my thing. Don't, just because she couldn't control them, she's putting them off on me. And I was like, just thought about it. And I was like, even thinking about it as an adult, I think back when parents can no longer control their children, because technically he was still a child. He was still living at home. He wasn't working. He was a dependent. He was a dependent, an unclaimable dependent. Let's just say that, an unclaimable dependent. And he got to the point where he was just, too much. He was cursing back and slamming doors and, acting up, causing disruptions or whatever. But yeah, I never really understood why, some people don't mind putting their children off on other people, older children off on other people, whatever, because they can no longer control them. So it just wasn't a good feel, and it wasn't a good situation. That relationship with Bruiser was definitely a relationship to where I've had many thoughts about, and I'm like, okay, why did you do that? And it's all surrounding the fact that I didn't know any better. I didn't know what I should and what I should not be doing, you know, at that age, especially not having a mentor or someone to guide me. So I will say, if you, I don't know who needs to hear it or whatever, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. I don't know who needs to hear it, but if you find yourself being put in a situation to where it like all falls on you, and it's all falling on you out of the blue, out of nowhere, and you don't have time to actually process what's going on and actually think about how it's going to affect you in the long run, just take a step back. Think about it, not in that particular, think about yourself from the situation is right here. Think about yourself over here looking in. That's what I should have did. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older and set boundaries, that when you're in the moment, emotions are running high, and it's just like, oh, I want to help my boyfriend or whatever because he ain't gonna have no place to go or whatever. And I felt obligated as an empath, especially. I felt obligated to take care of him because that's what we did. We pretty much were emotionally supportive of each other. It was more me than him. And, I wouldn't say it was more like puppy love because I was for him and he was for me. But at the same time, I shouldn't have been put in a situation to where it's like, oh, well, you take care of him. No. And as I learned later in life, it's like, hey, everybody's responsible for themselves. You shouldn't have to put yourself in a situation to where it may affect you negatively or where you can't grow, because you do need to grow. As we talked about previously, life is about growing, whether you know it or not, like it or not. Growing, learning, thriving, we all have to do it. It just is what it is. But yeah, just looking at that whole situation, I didn't have time to process it. It was just like, oh, he got in the car, got his stuff, and it's like he was just living with me. It wasn't like, like a couple of days later, he went back home, but it didn't work. It didn't work out or whatever. It didn't work out. At that point, it's more like, okay, well, I'm here. He wasn't paying bills at first or whatever, but he wasn't even doing his part. He didn't have to have a job, especially being at home with his mom. But of course, you have to have a job, being out on your own, even if you are like 18, 19 years old, because it's like, how are we going to pay bills? But yeah, that put me in that was like the start of all things that I've noticed that have had an effect on my life, especially as an empath. When I see somebody in need, I want to help them. I have to pretty much, tell myself, hey, if you do help this person or whatever, are you helping them or are you making them dependent upon you? And in that particular situation, I could have helped, or I could have, chosen myself. Because at that point, he became dependent upon me. Pretty much dependent upon me until, he was able to secure employment. So as far as us, staying together and all, he wasn't trying to go back home or stay home, whatever. He wanted to be with me or whatever. And I was just like, oh, man. But yeah, I think about it and I'm just like, it just happened out of the blue. Oh, you can just go stay with her. I had no time to digest the information. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you don't have time to even think about what's next or how it's going to affect you in the long run, definitely, just take yourself outside of the situation. You're responsible for your own emotional health and your own well-being. And that's not to say that you're selfish, because at the end of the day, whenever you wake up, whenever you go to sleep, it's you. It is you. It is nobody else waking you up. There's nobody else going to sleep with you or whatever. Even if, you have kids or whatever, you have to be attentive to them, of course. But whenever I say emotionally supportive, because you have to be able to support yourself from an emotional standpoint. Don't let nobody push themselves upon you to make you their crutch. You have to be fearful, I wouldn't say, you have to be confident that you are doing the right thing, especially when you're standing up for yourself. Nobody gets to treat you like that. That's not fair to you. And we're in a day and age of information. If you don't know how to get out of a situation, there's definitely websites you can go to actually look up ways that you can cope or help you set boundaries. Because setting boundaries, like I said, would have helped me. I could have been like, thinking about it now, I could have been like, well, hey, you can stay here a couple of days, but overall it won't work, which is what I should have did, but I didn't know any better. So yeah, but I just wanted to pop on and give that little story time of that relationship situation with Bruiser. It was very definitely interesting, those times or whatever. So yeah, thinking about those times. I hope you found this, inspiring to the point where you're looking at if a situation happens to arise, or if you happen to deal with a situation where someone's trying to push their responsibility on you, you're able to stand up and at least take a few minutes to yourself to think about your emotional standpoint on it and think about how it will affect you in the long run. Thank you for watching. And once again, you're stronger than what you know. You're stronger than what you think you are. And if nobody has, told you that, I promise you, you're more than capable. You can do it. You can do whatever you need to do. Just believe in yourself. As empaths, we have to be confident in ourselves, in our actions, and how we move, and how we think, and enjoy life overall. Because life is meant to be enjoyed by people who want to be supportive of us, supportive in our journey. That's what it's about, because we will support them. We will support them 100%. But it comes whenever you're trying to get that support back. Now that's the area that is kind of like, I've been there for you. Now would you be there for me? So yeah, just want to pop on for a second. Again, I hope you're having a wonderful day and you are stronger than what you know. So let me know in the comments if you've ever had to deal with a situation where an older adult was trying to push their responsibility off on you as a younger person. What are your thoughts now about that? And what was the outcome? Let me know down in the comments. All right, talk to you later. Bye.